Hi, my friends. So I'm coming to you. I am in the Akashic Records right now. There's a lot of energy that is wanting to be transmitted, and I was told to come on live to share this, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm coming live from the Akashic Records. I can feel that there's a lot of people who are really curious about the records, like who feel drawn to it but don't know what it is. So first of all, I'm just going to say I have no idea what's going to come out in this transmission. When I'm in the Akashic Records, when I'm channeling from the Akashic Records, what's actually happening is Spirit Source is working through me, channeling information to you. This is what happens in my readings. So I'm just kind of the conduit. It'll be delivered through my personality or the way that I would say things, but it's not my information that's coming through. So just take a moment and tune in with me. Just start to take a couple of deep breaths. Coming to your center, feeling your body starting to get heavier. Allowing time to slow down around you. Allowing your breath to soften, to become slower. Forgetting anything around you that's going on, anything you have to do, anything you need to do later. Just tune in for this moment. Noticing how your body's feeling. There's a lot of energy wanting to come through. A lot of us are very much at this pinnacle point, at this kind of like breaking point of really emerging into the next version of ourselves. We're like right at the cusp, and there's a lot of resistance that we're facing to this. There's a lot of fear to this. It does feel that this is happening at a collective level, that there's this big breakthrough that's coming in soon. It does feel like December 4th, the solar eclipse. The new moon is the time when this is going to be happening. So they're bringing my attention to the last week since we had the lunar eclipse and the last full moon. There may have been a lot of grieving. There may have been a lot of resistance of things, or just like purging in general, things wanting to come out of the system, things wanting to leave your body. That's in order to make room for what's wanting to come through. I also just have this great sense of resistance. So I'm going to ask the guides in the records. Okay, so they're telling me to explain what this is a little bit. So first of all, the Akashic Records are, you can think of this like an 8th or 9th dimension internet, except you can access any information from all time, because time isn't even real. I see it as this like energetic grid. And you can tune into any time period, any past life that you've lived, anything that will serve you and who you're becoming in this lifetime, and your mission and what you're here for, and important lessons that are going to support you in your journey. But the easier way to think about this is like a library. So it's like, when I personally go into people's records, every facilitator will see this differently. For me, I see a foyer, and it's like, I can see all of the energy that's occurring in your space in this moment. All of the deities who are there, all of your ancestors who are there, all of your spirit guides who are helping you in this particular point of your journey. And when you go into the records, it's like going into a big library. You have a specific book that is just for you. So I could pull out my book, Aly Wilkins, and it would have every single lifetime I've ever lived, all of the things that I did in those lifetimes, all the things that I said in those lifetimes, all of the relationships that I had with other people, all of the things that created karma, all of the things that I'm still carrying today. And there are lords of the records who guard these books, because we wouldn't want to just take it and, like, I could go in and flip through my whole book, but that really actually wouldn't be beneficial, because there's a lot of information in there that our human minds would just get fixated on and really aren't important. So there are these lords of the records, these guardians of your records that protect the information that is shared. One, so it's only shared to people who have the intention of using it with purity, because this is like potent, valuable information, right? But also so that it's actually going to benefit you and it's not going to harm you or delay your progress in any way. So I love working in the records because it's like I have this higher mind that's way beyond my mind's potential. So they're just like coming back into me a little bit now before they continue sharing the message, so that you can understand where it's coming from and you're not maybe afraid or feel any fear around what's actually being channeled through me. So I go into the records almost every day because I have access to it, so why wouldn't I? Because it's so helpful. So I go into the records almost every day. I do this when I did this when I was writing my book. I do this when I'm writing my courses and creating content. And literally, for example, yesterday in my Divinely Funded course, I was creating the next module, and I was having trouble because the concept was so big. I wanted to fit so much in it. I was like, let me go into the records and see what they have to say. And they're like, you're going to split it into these 3 to 4 parts. You're going to talk about this here. You're going to talk about that here. You're going to talk about this here. And they broke it down for me so fast and so easily. And it's totally divine how it came in. So it's like we can be stuck in our little human problems or human challenges, but the Akashic Records have this grander viewpoint. It's like the eagle point of view where you're just looking down and it can see the whole big picture. Whereas a lot of the times we are really like hyper focused on this little thing, this one little problem in our life, but we're not seeing it with everything else. So they can give us such a powerful viewpoint, powerful perspectives. And I'm actually going to like move inside a little bit because I can't see you guys here. I see a couple of you on live. Also, I just can't see in general because it's so bright. Okay, that's better. So they wanted me just to explain the Akashic Records because in general, there's a lot of fear around like higher dimension information coming from other dimensions. And they're just telling me part of that is like a valid fear because we don't want to just like open ourselves up to anything. However, in the records, this is literally like just pure white light, pure healing space. Just by sitting in the records, you receive such a healing. So I'm in the records now transmitting this to you. So you're not, when I have sessions with my clients, I bring you into the records with me. Right now, you're not in the records with me. I'm in the records and I'm transmitting it to you, that energy. So even just notice, do you feel a certain sensation even watching this video? Which would definitely be amplified if you were in the records with me. So anyways, okay, let me just tune back into the guides and see what they have to share because there was just like a lot of energy. I was making coffee and they're like, get on live. So you need to share this right now. Okay, so there's a lot of people who like are meant to be receiving information from the records right now, but are not, either because of fear or because they feel resistance. A lot of times when, is there a specific guide who wants to come through to share some of this so it can come through in a clearer, more direct way, please? Okay, so the energy of the hummingbird is coming through. The hummingbird represents the north. It represents like our connection to spirit or other dimensions that are not seen by our visible eye as humans. So we will only be able to receive a certain message when we're ready. And the Akashic Records are a really powerful place. And so your soul actually won't allow you into the records until you are ready to hear certain things. So it's so interesting because a lot of times, like when people come to me for a session, they tell me like, yeah, I've known about the records for years, but like now I just felt like it was the time for it to come in, for me to access this. I've known about it for years, but now I feel called to it. Or people will reschedule, and the timing that they reschedule for, they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I had it at this time. Or I'll reschedule, not very often, but and they'll say like, I am so happy that this is the timing that I did it. Your guides will find you in the exact right timing. When you're ready to hear a message, when you're able to hold the energy because it's high energy. It's typically what people experience when they're in the records is just an extraordinary sense of calm and peace. But afterwards, a lot of people sleep. A lot of people take naps or are just really zen throughout the rest of the day, because it's like we're not used to this higher energy field. We're not used to this higher vibration, this higher frequency. So our bodies literally have to get used to it. It's bringing me back to this reminder of like one time I had this session with this medium like years ago. He was extraordinarily powerful, and he was connecting me to my cousin who had just passed. And afterwards I took like a 7-hour nap, and it was like 1 o'clock in the daytime. My body couldn't hold the energy that this man was holding, because he was like so powerful, so energetically gifted. What he transmitted to me, my body's like, we don't know how to hold this. We have to like literally sleep to absorb this energy, because also in our sleep we don't have resistance, right? We're not, first of all, we don't have mind resistance, so our mind isn't like, oh, she's just making that up, or which I understand. I've thought that before sometimes too, but you can also, when you let that guard down, your body can sense if something is accurate, if something is supportive for you or not. So, okay, they wanted me to share that. Now we're going to go back into the records. So you can even see like how I'm speaking here isn't typically there's a little bit of a difference in how I talk, because I'm actually channeling through information here. There's nothing to be afraid of with that. We are all vessels like this. It's just a matter of how surrendered can you be, how much can you trust what's coming through, and how can you open yourself to be able to be a conduit of energy, to learn how to be a conduit of energy. A lot of that, they're sharing what's going to entail, and this is a lot of the work that we're doing right now as a collective, is there's a lot of stuff, starting to trust our own inner being more so than what anyone else says around us. We have a GPS system. What's it called? They're like, what do you guys call it on Earth? Like a bullshit detector. But we have a system that can easily look at something and like bring all of our senses to it and completely understand it, even without someone saying something. So anyways, I forgot what I was kind of saying with that. Okay. So I want to tune back into this hummingbird. So one of the messages that wants to come through today is around the hummingbird itself. The hummingbird, this came in one of my sessions the other day. The hummingbird, the wings on a hummingbird, it actually shouldn't be able to even fly, yet it's the fastest, I believe it's the fastest bird. So there's this energy coming in around like what we believe to be possible. This is so important within ourselves. What do you actually believe to be possible for you? This is also important. What do we believe to be possible for our planet? And it's like this energy of we have to start using our disconnect from the 3D world of what's happening in certain ways. Because the more that we tune into that, the more attention we give to it, the more focus we put on that, the more we're going to be perpetuating it. It's like when you work with trauma, if you only focus on the traumatic experience, if you only focus on that thing that created a lot of pain in you, so for example, if you focus on like men hurt me, you're only like, yes, it's important to look at your past and heal what has come up for you in certain places. However, if you only look at this thing of like men hurt me and you don't look at like there are amazing, incredible men who can deeply support me and serve me in my life. If you don't look at that piece, you're going to keep attracting this to you if you don't change the belief system. So there's a piece of this energy that's like you need to disconnect from what's going on in the 3D, because you're going to keep perpetuating it, and focus, not avoiding it, not denying it, but focus on like where would you like to see things going? Like what would heaven on earth actually look like? What's actually possible for the planet? What if every single human on the planet had a quantum shift on Saturday on 12/4, the solar eclipse? What if every single human had a quantum shift and all of a sudden saw through clear eyes? that's something that could actually happen. If everyone in the world put their focus and attention on that, that is something that could actually happen. However, most of us are repeating stories that like humans are the worst, or like we've created only pain and suffering on the planet, like we're destroying the earth, which like, yeah, it's important for us to actually look at what's going on. It's important for us to look at what has occurred. However, if we stay fixated in that energy, it's just going to keep perpetuating. So what is it that you desire? And let's bring this out of the collective into your personal life. Who do you want to be? What are your biggest dreams for your life? Do you actually hold the belief that that's like possible for you? Do you actually hold the belief that that's something that could really happen in real life? Do you hold the belief that you're not where you need to be? There's still more healing that you need to do. You wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it. Like, what are the belief systems you're holding? And there's just the hummingbird is just, I'm seeing it like fluttering around me, and it's like, you have to believe in the impossible to happen. You have to allow the impossible to happen in your life, and it's this energy of miracles coming through. There's this major energy that I've been experiencing just personally in the last week of like something major is about to happen, something big and like beautiful is about to happen. A very sharp shift from kind of the energy of like what we've been experiencing for the last couple of years. I've just been experiencing this enormous energy of like something really incredible is going to happen, and I want you to feel that too. So even if you haven't been feeling it, hold space for that for just 5 seconds. Something incredible is about to happen. And they're drawing my attention to this post that I have on my computer, and it says like, expect miracles. Miracles happen every single day. And if you have something to say back to me on that, like, why would you choose to believe anything different? Because what you believe is what comes forward. Anything else that comes forward, like my attention's being drawn to Ganesha. So I'm like, I don't have any pictures of him over here. So Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. I was speaking to my Divinely Funded course about this the other day. Ganesha is the remover of obstacles, but sometimes he'll put obstacles in your path that will take you to where you're wanting to go in a faster way, that will actually support you. You having this obstacle will actually support you. So it's like the idea of like, if you're just handed everything in your life, if everything you desired was just like, here you go, you don't have to do anything to create this, you wouldn't value it, you wouldn't appreciate it, you wouldn't honor it, you wouldn't respect it, you wouldn't even like, you'd be like, this is normal, this isn't any big deal. And there's probably a lot of things in your life that you're actually looking at like that right now. Okay, guides, Ganesh, bring me back to what I was saying. Holding the space for miracles to occur on a daily basis. Now, the mistake that we make is that when an obstacle comes, we're like, oh, I'm not doing this right, or like, why is this happening to me again? And Ganesh is like, oh my God, I'm trying to support you with what you're desiring. Like, would you like keep going for what you want? This is coming up because it's either something that you need to face to become the version of yourself that can hold this thing, that can have this thing, or he like wants to rephrase how he was going to say that, or how I was going to bring it through. We have to be able to hold what we want. So if you say you want something, you're going to be given the opportunities to become the person who can hold it. So there are going to be trials and tribulations a lot of the times that come up, or even, I talk about this a lot in my teachings, like when a belief system comes up, if you're like, this is just a simple example. If you're like, I want to lose weight, but then the thought comes up of like, I'm fat, I'm ugly. Like that thought is blocking your ability to successfully lose weight. If you keep saying I'm fat, then you're not going to lose weight because your mind's like, wait a minute, like I'm physically doing the things I should be doing, but you're telling me I'm fat. So like, I'm actually going to stay fat or I'm going to add more fat on because that's what I'm hearing you tell me. And the whole concept, is that thought, I'm fat, is coming up to be released. It's like, hey, if you want to be really healthy and lean and happy and well, you can't have this thought in your mind anymore. It's got to be released. But what happens is it comes up and then we're like, oh yeah, that's true. And we take the belief on again and stuff it back down. The guides are like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Like, okay, so coming back to the energy of miracles, the message is really truly hold space for miracles collectively and in your personal life. And they're telling me that we're going into this phase in the month of December where there's going to be this big burst of positive energy. There's going to be, if you hold space for it, they're like, wait a minute, make sure that this is clear. December is going to be a month where we actually have room and space to hold a lot of magic. There can be a lot of beautiful things coming through. However, you need to look at what your belief system is around, because so there's also this level of like conditioning that we've all been put through this last 2 years of COVID, like that things are going to keep going downhill. This is like a subtle belief that a lot of us are holding. And so the guides are really bringing attention to this of like, feels like this is like, very much like the Holy Family, actually. I was going to say the Divine Sophia, but she's kind of above orchestrating everything anyways. So it's the Holy Family who's here, meaning Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Joseph. And they're just saying that we've started to take on this belief that like things are all going to be going downhill and they're just going to keep getting worse, because we've sort of experienced that over the last 2 years. So they're bringing in this energy of like, look in yourself of what part of you believes that things are going to continue getting worse, and how can you see that, hold it, look at it, be compassionate towards it, but also eradicate it. Like, no, miracles are a daily occurrence, and this is happening for the ascension of our planet. This is happening just like the hard parts of your life happen so that you can become the version of yourself that you need to be, to not just for yourself, to create the desires that you want, to allow yourself to have the things, or your dreams, your goals, your visions, all those things to come to fruition, but also because the world needs you to be in that version of yourself. But it's your free will, it's your choice how you see these challenges, how you see these obstacles. And they're saying that the invitation is to view all of this as an opportunity. And they're like, this experience of COVID is a gigantic opportunity to see what the world could actually become. And there's this desire to hold more space for that, because it feels like there's a very small amount of people who are holding that, and it needs to be more. And the more energy that's built up around that, the more that's going to start coming through. So let me just tune in. That feels like the conclusion of one message, but it does feel like there's something else here. So when you get a message, they're wanting me to speak to like personal work in the Akashic Records. So they're saying that like you don't have any control, I don't have any control, you don't have any control, it's 111, about what comes through in an Akashic Record facilitation or reading. Your intention will be they're saying your intention will be considered. But like truly, it's going to be whatever is of your highest good, like what your soul needs to tune in with, what your soul needs to know at this moment. So I'm glad you guys are laughing with me. I see some smiley faces. So it's what your soul needs to know, and often it will come in a different form. So even though I have access to the records, I go on the records every single day pretty much, I get readings from other people all the time. So I'm just going to give an example of what this kind of can look like. And I get other readings from other people because they can see through a different perspective, through a different lens than I have about myself. Also, typically, this is just like really cool with healers in general, but especially I've seen this with Akashic Record readings. Each facilitator has such a unique energy that they bring to it. So I have like one reader that I'll go to that she always ties in like really key past life things into what's going on in my life now. There's another reader who's much more like galactic, and she brings in a lot more like cosmic energy. Those are kind of the main two people I go to. I bring in a different energy. So that's just a cool thing about readers. Like you can have a bunch of them that you like and that you go to for different aspects. But anyways, so this one example I want to share with you. So I went in talking to my healer about how I was really having a hard time anchoring some masculine energy because I just love playing in the feminine energy. It's like so fun. And I've been having a harder time like really rooting in my masculine like for the last year pretty much. And so she brought through this, first of all, things that have happened in this life that I didn't even like connect to being related to that, but also things that happened throughout my like mystical lineage. So we have a blood lineage, we have a bloodline lineage, we might have, oh, there's a bee in the house, that means the goddess is here. Yeah, so the bees, I'm just like zoning in on this bee because bees really represent the goddess, and what's wanting to come through is like the rose lineage. A lot of us are being activated in that right now. So I'm just like watching where he's moving, because a lot of times it's interesting, like the bees will move to a specific thing for me personally. Also just a message if you're watching this, like I could be like, oh my God, there's a bee in the house, I have to stop this. Literally, when I have this door open all the time, bees will come in and I'm like, hey, thanks for showing up, I received the message, you can go now, and they will go right out the door. Like I don't need to go kill them about it. When animals come in, it's a message. He's like really hanging out in the kitchen, which never really happens. So this energy's coming in around like we're creating the new world, we're creating this new energy. I'm seeing like if you're baking a cake or something and it's like there's so much fear, judgment, hate going on right now. They're not doing this right. They should be doing this. Like, they're a bad person because they got this. They're a bad person because they didn't get this, or whatever the opposite of what I just said was. And so like all of the energy you're sending out is what you're bringing back to your life. So be very, very, very aware of what it is that you're putting in your cake mix. Do you want to put poison in your cake mix? And then you're like, ooh, can't wait to eat some cake. Okay. So back to my example. So yeah, I was thinking about him. I want help anchoring my masculine energy. And she brought in some stuff from this lifetime that's really connected to that issue that I'm having, but also stuff from ancient lineages, that was affecting that. And my mind was just like, whoa, of course all of these things are created. Ever since I had that reading, it's been like no problem. My masculine energy has been rooting in a whole new way. I created relationships with different deities in a different way than I ever had before. So it's like it's so hard to tangibly say like, this is what you're going to get from an Akashic record reading, because it's not tangible. It is life-changing. And even I've had so many readings with people, like, and even just with myself, sometimes I'll go in and it's not really huge, but that's because I'm going in every single day. These readings are so valuable when you are at a point in your life that's like a pivotal point. You're at a fork in the road. You need to make a decision, or you have these big things that are coming towards you and you're like, I don't know how to hold this. I don't know how to be with this. I don't know how to engage with this energy. They are perfect for those time periods. So, there's something else that wants to come through with what I was just sharing about. But going back to our lineages. So we have mystical lineages, we have bloodlines, and then we have our like ancestral roots, right? So I think that in a 3D element, we do need to be respectful to... Actually, let me tune into the guides to see, because I don't want to share what I think about this. I want to share from the records. It's kind of like they're laughing at the idea that we have races, or that we identify as our race, that we identify with even our bloodlines, because it's the energy of like, you've lived as every single ethnicity in every single time, and all time is occurring right now anyways. So you're currently experiencing all the things that anyone else might be experiencing. That's the energy. So sometimes what they say can be very large and big in concept. But what's happening right now collectively, especially for those who are more open, who are, the word they're using is less rigid in their belief system. They're open to seeing things in a different way. They're open to working with other forms of energy. Your mystical bloodlines are being activated. So there's so many of them, there's I mean, just what's coming to the ones that they're bringing through, kind of the biggest ones, they're taking me back to like really far back periods of time. So in the last 2000, like even before the last 2000 years, like the Egyptian bloodlines, the Rose lineage, that's what Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, all of that crew came through. They all came through the Rose lineage, which was actually taught Tantra, Egyptian mysticism and power dynamic, Druid magic, shamanism, all of that actually originated in that area and then traveled as we traveled as humans. So anyways, they don't want me to stick too much on that. It's mostly like your bloodlines, or your mystical bloodline is being activated, and just be careful with how much you are identifying with your current bloodline, with your family. Especially a lot of healers like don't resonate with their family. The bee's going into my room now. He's like taking a whole tour. So yeah, a lot of times we may not resonate with our bloodline. We may not resonate with our heritage per se. So a lot of times that's because we come from other mystical lineages. So really trust what you're feeling called towards now. Clear as much space in yourself as you can. Clear your mind as much as you can, because there's so much information. You know, people use the word codes. There's so much and it's basically, you can imagine this as like light language or sound. Someone's knocking on the door in somebody else's apartment, or sound coming through that's activating different parts of you that are dormant. However, if you are full of energy already, there's no room for that. So I'm going to leave it there today. I didn't have any clue what was going to come through, so I hope that this was helpful for you. Please I'm going to post this on my wall afterwards, or on my page afterwards, so please post a comment if you enjoyed it, if you learned something. And I'm doing a really special sale. Literally, the guides and the records were like, do a sale on Akashic record readings, because a lot of people need to come into the records. Like, there are messages for you there. You will know if that's for you just by me saying that. So typically my readings are $333. The biggest sale I've ever done is $222. I'm doing them for $144 for first time clients. If you have already had a session with me, you can do buy two get one free. That's my like gift, my gratitude weekend sale. Because I really truly, I really want more people to experience the records, and I know that money can sometimes be a hindrance to doing that, so I'm trying to make it as accessible as I can, where it's still fair for my energy expenditure. I typically only do one of these readings per day, because I want to give you all of the energy that's available for you without being like drained or tired or anything. So yeah, if you feel called to it, please go to the link in my bio. You can book it there. The sale ends tomorrow night. Also, if you have friends who want to join, like, share the love, seriously. And I'm not saying that like so I get all the bookings. I'm saying that because the Akashic Records are a magical place, and it has benefited my life tremendously. That's why I facilitate these, because I had such deep transformation in my own experiences with different readers in the records. So yeah, if you feel drawn to it, definitely listen to that. And if you don't, listen to that too, because I'm not saying like, because you might not be ready, but like really there might be a better time for you to access it, where you'll receive a lot more. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I wish you could see the background a little more now that I'm inside, but oh well. I'm gonna go ask this bee politely to leave the house, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys soon.